Meteorologist Alexandra Cranford in your local weather expert forecast center, and we're getting you the latest update as of Saturday afternoon about a newly formed tropical depression. This is Tropical Depression 10, and you can see where its center is determined to be by the National Hurricane Center, just off the coast of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, very close, in fact, to the Cancun area that some of us travel to and know about. Here is where roughly the low pressure is. It's been a broad low pressure area, but the National Hurricane Center says there's enough organization now, even though it's a little bit iffy whether it's fully formed with a closed low, but it's enough organized that it's now a depression. So this is Tropical Depression 10, and we're not expecting it to move much in the next day or two because there's not a lot of steering at this point, but it will eventually get a nudge to the north, partially or mostly actually because of a high pressure ridge off to its east. So around the high, it will start to nudge this depression off to the north, and by that point, it might already be a tropical storm. Then it does look like it might increase to a Category 1 status hurricane, possibly by Tuesday. At least that's what the National Hurricane Center's official path calls for, an official track. And then we're expecting it to eventually end up around Florida's Big Bend area. Now note there's still a pretty good spread, a pretty big spread in where it could end up, but models have really been clustering fairly closely at this point. It's still a bit early, but at this point bringing it off to this part of Florida. And again, at landfall, this could be early Wednesday. That's when at least the official path and the official track shows a potential landfall around Florida's Big Bend early Wednesday, possibly as a Category 1 hurricane. So let me show you those computer model forecasts. Again, a pretty good consensus at this point. Now, this is something early on. This is not a developed system yet, and we always say when it's not developed, different things can happen. So definitely keep an eye on this and keep alert about the forecast if you're in Louisiana and coastal Mississippi. At this point, we are not expecting impacts for Louisiana and coastal Mississippi. Now, we'll refine the forecast in the next few days, and we'll see what happens, of course, and keep watching our updates. We'll have more information for you. But at this point, it looks like we will have enough forecast steering patterns and enough steering forces here to keep it off to the east. At least that's the thinking right now. So here is the track, and you can see, watch what happens as we move forward in time here. Do you see that orange building in there, nudging it to the north? This off to the right would be that high pressure ridge. And then note that it does get pulled all the way to the north and northeast eventually, and might eventually track up the coast of the southeast U.S. And this is all partially because of a trough of low pressure, which will be building into the north over this deep south kind of part of the U.S. around the extreme far eastern and southeastern coasts of the U.S. And also we will have a little front. So for Louisiana and Mississippi, we will have a weak front next week, even early in the week, that will probably direct this, it looks like, out to the east. So at this point, again, no threats and no impacts expected for Louisiana and Mississippi. But again, this is a few days out. We'll continue watching everything and keeping you updated really closely. Now for Florida, rain is expected, of course. If it does increase to a tropical storm or a hurricane, of course, wind would be a big issue, and eventually some storm surge. So those are things that Florida will be watching for. And the timing, again, looks like mainly Tuesday, but especially Wednesday, potentially, although these systems can speed up and slow down a bit, different from what the first forecast calls for. So again, Tropical Depression 10 just formed Saturday afternoon, not moving much in the next day or so, but by Monday especially, it should start to nudge to the north, might by that point be a named tropical storm, and then eventually heading to the east of Louisiana and Mississippi. Looks like this is going to be an impactful storm for Florida, but at this point, not expecting impacts where we are. We'll continue to watch, as I said, and keep you updated. We'll have much more on the Eyewitness News at 6 and 10.